Who are you?
Sarah MacLeod, from the clan MacLeod.
A Highlander, you say?
Just like you.
What are you?
A ghost.
No. You're an immortal.
Just like you.
Good. That is a perfect place to start.
Here we are, born to be kings, we're the princes of the universe. Here we belong, fighting to survive in a world with the darkest powers. And here we are, we're the princes of the universe. Here we belong, fighting for survival. We've come to be the rulers of you all.
And so, Onye, you are walking through the mountains. It is cold. It is quiet. It is peaceful. But lo and behold, as you take step after step in a Herculean task, there's a quake. And as you spin to identify what this sound is, moving with the same silence, surprisingly, is a wall of white as snow and ice bleed from the top of the mountain, rushing toward you. What do you do?
Run. Run.
And so, footstep after footstep in this long journey that is to be so much longer, you outrace nature for a moment, 2, 3, but then you are picked up. You are swallowed beneath the cold, the crush of ice, snow. It feels like both water and cement at the same time. It rock and liquid, upside down, around. And finally you come to rest. What do you do? And as you struggle, the breath before you, taking in water, drowning you and choking, and as you spit it out, It freezes, forming ice, preventing you from breathing through the crystals of snow, until there is no oxygen left, and you gasp. And back you come. But still, there is no air. You should be dead, you should be gone, you should be moved away from this place to whatever comes next. But you're not. You are still within the ice. What brought you here?
Love. Love brought me to this place. He commanded me to be father-in-law, to prove my worth, to marry into his family, to walk around this water and can't move, can't breathe, can't, no light, no sound, cold.
And again, you drift away. Only to come back moments later. All for love that brought you here. To walk around the water. What water?
Become known as the Black Sea. The source of so many days of pleasant, relaxing, fishing.
Just as the pleasant thought takes you, again your life ends. And again, it comes back. Munye, all that you are left with beneath this, it's not a tomb, it's a home of ice. The silence, your own gasps and grasps for air. And as the snow becomes hard-packed ice, you are given some noise as the creaks and the groans of the shifting and thawing of the strengthening ice is the only sound. And this is your life. $6,000 years later, something strange happens. As you, aware only of distant beats of life, something that you don't know, something that is called the quickening, allowing you to hear a heartbeat of a rabbit. But those are two things that you have forgotten exist. What is a heartbeat? What is a rabbit? A bird, whatever that is. An eagle, whatever that is. But suddenly, after 6 millennia, something different happens. The groans and the cracks get louder. They split, and you feel your arm move. You feel your whole body move. The ice drifts away. You are within water rushing down a mountainside. What is this in your lungs?
Smoke. That smell, is it smoke? And Anya turns to look back up to the top of what has become known as Mount Elbrus, as the top of it is wide open and there is smoke and ash and lava pouring from the spot where he was minutes ago. And here, miles away from there, you can smell that smoke, but that's different. That's got a mineral scent to it. It's a different sort of ash. It's burned rock, not wood, but he also smells burned wood from that way. And a scent that tickles the back of his head from ages ago. Cooked flesh. Can't remember what type of meat that is, but it smells good.
With his strength returned to the moment of his first death, with flesh that should be gone and bones that should be frozen and powderized. He stands at the epitome of health in the prime of his life. No atrophy, no weakness. What does he do with the smell that he's discovered?
Moreover than just the inability to breathe, the inability to see, the inability to move, the complete and utter silence aside from the cracking of the ice as it shifted. There was constant hunger. And there is no way he can resist the smell of food. And so he runs towards it with everything he has.
So as your bare feet, your clothes and belongings, not fortunate enough to have the blessing of immortality, have long since disintegrated, and as your bare feet slap into the mud, brought to that state by the ice that held you for so long, you quickly cover ground, move. This isn't a dream. Dreams are things that come and go. This is something maybe never experienced. And as you slap forward your bare feet against this mud, you rise a hill and you see two figures huddled over fire. Some skinned beast on a spit. Two seem to be agreeable, but they do not see you.
Not slowing a single step, Anya continues to sprint forward, locked solely on that meat. The two people sitting on either side hardly even register to him. He's so hungry. And he dives, rolling through the fire and grabbing the steak and just digging into it with a ferocious, just bestial manner, completely just devouring, crunching through bone and chewing it, the marrow, everything. Nothing goes to waste as he shovels the entire thing gradually down his throat over what is doubtless the protestations of the two people.
They do at first, but upon seeing your state, they lean back, stand, and begin to reach the edge of the campfire's light. Their eyes had previously been going to the mountaintop that had recently vanished, interrupted from their meal that they were going to consume quickly and leave, but now the appearance of this man, they step back in looks of stunned shock. One makes a move to defend himself with a spear as he lifts it forward. His hides that he wears are quivering as the cold, the fear, and the shock take this man to the core, but he makes an attempt to defend himself as he pulls the spear up, but he does not advance. He can't. He just watches.
Having finished most of whatever's on this spit, Onier is raking his teeth along the length of the spit to get every last droplet, every fiber of whatever else is there. The heat that has been, communicated through the spit singes and burns his lips and his gums and his tongue. And you can hear the sizzle when he gets to the ends of it and towards his hands, which have small trails of smoke from where he's holding the thing. But it's like he's either immune to the pain or it just doesn't register to him at all. And he just completely picks the spit clean. And upon seeing the man taking up the spear and holding it, not necessarily in an aggressive stance, but what is an aggressive? He can't remember. It could be an aggressive stance. And so he turns the spit to point towards the man with the spear.
Andrea. Oh no, yeah. Oh no. He raises the spear, but you can see his eyes have tears rolling from them. His friend, companion, brother, petrified, making no move for his weapon. The two are staring at you. The one holds the spear up, its point erratically moving up and down and left and right as the trembling of his muscles prevents a solid grasp and a solid target. He gestures.
His fingers tighten across the spit, and that first feint towards lunging thrusts the entire spit directly into the guy's face. Or towards it, I should say.
With the might of 6,000 years of nightmarish repression, the spit, solid in construction and carved to be so, drives through the man's eye, pausing at the back of his skull. And still, his brother does not move.
Carrying the momentum forward, Onye drives the spit and the brother to the ground, and slowly, as he's standing there holding the spit, finally his gaze turns to the brother. Quiet.
And he runs. But as you see, he runs towards the mountain, towards the fire, towards the lava. He's already gone.
And Onye starts taking this guy's clothes off, taking them, strapping them to himself, gathering whatever he can, and taking off away from the lava flows.
And so we will cut to quite some time later. Onye has lived, and those stories require telling, but not at this campfire. Instead, we will tell this tale of when Onye met another like him. Onye, you are in a similar circumstance as the road upon which you traveled, and the sky above it has taken to dusk and to night. And as you feel this reach, as you feel the sense that you relied on for all those millennia, a sense that you will come to know as the quickening, long before the traveler senses you, you sense him. It is that heartbeat, that movement of life, that remembrance of the ice. And it is strong in this one. You feel it in everything. From rabbit to plant. But in this man, it's delicious.
And Onye will start beelining towards that sensation, drawn to it like moth to flame, bee to blossom.
Onye, when you get to the edge of the light that the campfire is providing, it is only at that time that the man alone, who is seated on a stump by the fire, seems to perk up, his back straightening as you are 10, 8, 6 yards off, and he turns and goes for a weapon, pulling out a sword as he sees you coming, and there is a look of confusion on his face as he just, let's do this properly. And what happens, Onye?
The spear that the young man had held on him at the first campfire after his awakening, oddly long spearhead to it, and seeing the man go for a weapon, there's a moment of confusion to Anya's expression, and he replies, but the language is 6,000 years old. While his physical mannerisms might well communicate, what are you doing? The language is lost. And he continues. There's a sense of something close to kinship or belonging and need. Something that just continues to drive Onye forward. And it's almost like he doesn't even realize he's got the spear in his hand as he moves forward, saying what sounds like just rambling, burbling syllables pouring out of his face. But he continues to move forward in an incredibly, steadily increasing pace, moving towards the man.
The man, not understanding your words and mistaking your actions for aggression, pulls back the blade and swings, taking a swipe at your neck as you approach. I would like you to roll a speed defense for me here, as we see
a speed defense. I closed my character sheet like an idiot. Speed defense, where is that?
it should be on the right hand side, just down in the speed abilities. You'll see it'll say ability, and then it'll say defense under speed.
It does. And I will click this.
Okay, so with a roll of 7 with the difficulty step down because of something Onye has, you are able to dodge this blow as it comes in, this act of aggression. He seems ready, pulling back to strike again. Onye, what will you do?
This is not the way a first meeting should go. There are rules for travelers on the road. This is not what he remembers. It's not like this. But this person is something very different from all the people he remembers, all the people he's forgotten. Even the two men from barely a few days ago, they felt nothing like this. And there is a sense of genuine fear of this man means to kill me while I have done nothing but approach with admittedly exuberant but open greeting. Why? Why is he doing this? And Onye will strike out in the same fashion that man just did, going for a swipe right at his neck.
And this man, now that you're close, you see that he is older, much older than perhaps Onye could believe someone to age, as the gray hair and the sunken flesh is of someone that found immortality too late. He is slow. He is not Onye. He fights for a bit. He offers parry. He offers weak attacks, but they all fail to strike. Wound after wound is delivered by the spearhead. A proclamation about how you are supposed to treat travelers. Until the man drops to the ground bleeding, unable to defend himself. He looks up, his eyes scared. What happens next?
And he doesn't understand the language necessarily, but there is nothing more clear in the man's expression. And taking a hold of his hair, Onye lays the edge just short of the tip at the man's throat. And with a wildness born of millennia of levels of imprisonment that cannot readily be conceived by anything living but him. He leans in almost to the point where their lips touch, almost. And looking right into his eyes, Onye just gets this huge, feral smile across his face. And he says, "Tamorjek Borkachin," and slices. It takes a couple of attempts because this spear is not meant to simply behead, so it takes a few thrusts to cut through the man's neck and behead him.
And behead him you do, as the man, only days and immortal himself, leaves one last time. And Onye, as you stand there with the man's head in your hands, his body ironically cooling, the sky above you darkens. A crack of lightning rips the air, followed by a peal of thunder. Though it is weak, possessing only one bit of a mortal soul, it is still a soul that is eternal. And the lightning strikes, licking up your arms from forefinger of left hand up to elbow to shoulder until it rips over your heart, not peeling flesh. And you feel the old man named Sebastian. You see his face, And again you hear, what comes next? And all is quiet.
He holds up his head. Tosses it away. Looks at the spearhead, now broken from the shaft. Drops it. And takes up the man's sword.
You feel it again. That pulse of the quickening. Though you do not know that name. It's coming from the darkness from behind you. From the path that you approach this camp from. It's getting closer. Moments later, you hear an approach.
Turn facing. Sword out.
You see another older man, not as old as the one that you have just consumed. But this one holds no weapon, but he does wield a smile. My name is Takne. I mean you no harm. Come, brother, let me show you the way. And he extends a hand, open and palm up, toward you.
And despite the rush of, oh God, here we go again, this act fits the rules of travelers meeting on the road. And that works its way through to quell some of the anticipation and anger and fear. And still the words aren't quite familiar. But he understands what it is that this person is trying to communicate. And he steps forward, clasps the man's arm. Onye.
The man smiles. Well met, Onye. And as we pick up the story of Onye and Takne, they are standing in a pleasant field as everything around seems to have a sense of life that is much more agreeable than the inside of a sheet of ice. Darn it. Inside the, we see a field extend around Onye and Takne. They are gone from their travels along the road, and they sit and face one another as companions. Takne looks. You must learn the rules, my brother. Use your words.
Rules to what? What? There are rules to life, of course, but what rules do you speak of, young man?
The rules that govern us all. You and I. The poor chap that you took those years ago when we met.
What are these rules?
Let us combine tasks then. And he indicates a series of stumps and rocks that you know all too well. Apparently, I will need to connect to the internet. He indicates a series of rocks and stones and stumps. Travel, as you will, from there, and he indicates the lowest, to there, and he indicates the highest. And I will tell you about these rules as you go.
From there to there.
Yes, but don't touch the ground.
This is an important piece of information to give me.
I was saving it for last.
And so he goes over and steps up onto the first, not really an obstacle, platform. We'll go with that. And he just sort of rolls his eyes and kind of a, this is so stupid kind of thing.
And as you do so, simply roll for me a d20, if you will, as you are working your way through here.
13.
Good. And so, as you negotiate the first third of the course, Takne says to you, "Now, as you progress here, we all progress through the great game. Someday, hopefully, you and I will feel a call to a faraway land, where the few of us that remain will battle for the prize."
What is it?
Who knows? It is mystery, but my theory is if it is the culmination of all of us, each of us defeating one and taking the power of them, and if it comes forward until it is housed in just us, then it would be a great power indeed. I would see you have it, my friend. Of course, if I cannot.
Wait. I need to make sure that I understand you correctly. You're telling me that there is a great game to which there are rules that we slaughter each other until there is but one of us left, and this one will get a prize that no one knows what it is?
Yes.
It is stupid. Who made this game?
And Takne will stand and indicate not a calming hand, but a moment of pause where he knows the delicacy of Onye. It's a mystery, my friend. Something that we don't need to know. But we need to know that others behave like this. What we decide to do is our fate. But I would have you know these rules, so you are on equal ground.
And stumps and rocks.
And stomp some rocks.
So it is more about, for us, right now, the journey to the prize.
My brother.
Then perhaps you had best teach me these rules.
Perhaps you should get from there, and he points at your current position, to there, and he points to the highest tree stump.
So be it. And
Roll me another d20.
okay. 5.
Okay, the second one, there's a bit of a stumble to the point where Onye misses one of the stumps and has to kind of use his hands to keep himself from touching the ground. There's a chuckle. Rules are rules, but getting from here to there is what makes the rules necessary. You are only safe on holy ground. Ground consecrated or believed spiritual. We will never fight upon holy ground. When you fight, it must be 1 versus 1. You cannot aid me, I cannot aid you. We can avenge if we so desire, but we cannot join together and hunt. It is forbidden. If we were, the others would hunt us down. It is a way to be civilized.
We'll have to. The holy ground is very different for my people. Much has changed.
You are lucky, my brother. I will show you all of the changes. I will show you holy ground. I will show you how to get from here, and he points to the first stump, to there. One more d20 roll.
17.
Expertly, the most difficult of this course is handled by Onye. And Takne laughs and walks forward and looks up. Come down, brother.
And he leaps off and almost Iron Man like 3-point landing stands back.
He places a hand on your shoulder. There's only one rule left. At the end, there can be only one.
And he kind of, as though kind of not necessarily stabbed or slapped, but somewhere in between, like something just registered. I've heard those words before. I know I've heard those words before. It was the day we met. You said those words. No, it wasn't you. I I remember hearing a voice saying those words. Tamojet Batolkaji. I remember hearing those words. Tamojet Batolkaji. Was that my voice?
The hand on your shoulder becomes a pat. You have all the time in the world to remember. Live each moment. And the smaller man puts his arm around you as he walks shoulder to shoulder, his hand on the opposite. What should we have for dinner?
Honestly, I'm having a bit of a craving for rabbit.
Rabbit it is. And so the days bleed on. Stumps and rocks are jumped to until it becomes effortless. And once the stumps and the rocks are conquered, the man currently known as Takne begins having you move stones of sizes ranging from impossible to Herculean. And whether it takes you a day, a week, a month, or even a year, until you find the leverage and until you find just the geometry to move these great rocks, you stay in that place. And then you travel to the next as the years bleed on into decades, into centuries, until finally one day you stand before a vast ocean. No more stumps, no more rocks, just you and the water, my brother.
Water.
Water.
I would think after all this time I had learned not to diminish the value of your lessons. All right, I know there's probably a trick to this. Let's go.
Well, there's one. And you see him reach behind and pull out a length of cloth. It is a... No. We must put this over your eyes.
Over my eyes.
As it's done for so many years, the hand drops upon your broad shoulder. I know. But
no, you don't.
I know what it means to you. I would have no idea what it means for me. But this is something they could use against you. The Kurgan that I told you about. You must be ready for him. And if he knows you have this weakness, do you understand? And his hand moves from shoulder to the side of your face. Do you understand, my brother?
Yes. Yes.
Face the ocean. And slowly, Takne takes the length of cloth and it drops from brow to the top of your eye until it closes over your eyes. And you feel the pressure around your orbits, light, but enough to hold, as ties it, and you feel the knot slip against the back of your skull.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the hands find your shoulders. Brother, just step out into the water. Just stand there.
And he takes a step. And another. And eventually moves out into the surf.
As soon as Onye's feet touch the surf, even though it's warm, and there's sand beneath the feet that add a different texture, it is that liquidity that reminds of the second birth that you had from the ice, which reminds of the ice itself. And though the crashing of the waves bear no audible resemblance to the cracking and the shifting of ice, it sounds just like it to Onye. Further.
And he manages one more step.
And with
his foot pulling up out of the sand to the next step.
And whether it be a current or a trick of his own mind, when your foot steps down into this patch of water, it is freezing. Further, brother.
He starts to turn back.
No. It's too soon.
For Mashtarun.
Only use your words.
Ras Faran Maktul.
Brother.
Does he have his weapon at this point?
Takne?
No.
Or
on
you always have your weapon. Takne
Okay.
makes sure of it.
Then it comes out.
Tamorjit.
Take off the blindfold.
Tamorjit.
He's moving fast.
Takne drops his hand to his side, and an exquisite curved oriental blade with an ivory handle pulls forth a sword.
No! No! Onye, brother, turn it! Pull it off!
Tamorjit or Volkazin.
Here we go.
And as you take the shot, I would like you to roll me an attack, whether that be one of your speed or one of your might.
Oh, at this point, given the state he's in, it's definitely going to be a chop. 6.
As you chop down, it strikes air as your blade reaches into the sand, and at your ear, almost with a jab, you feel the hand reach for the blindfold. Pull it off! This is an attack. If you want to defend against it, I'm going to need you to roll a speed defense against this.
Does that count as evasion as well? I
No,
mean,
you can.
if he just plans to pull away, is that also defense, or is it?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do that if you want. That's one of your abilities. So yeah, you can pull away from, because it's not a bladed attack. It's not a damage attack.
Okay, so where would that be?
You can auto do that with in this current circumstance because there's not a damage base with the attack,
Okay.
so he can't.
Okay, yeah. So he'll just pull back, and his sword is held kind of back this way, blindfold still on, and the smile just seems to get wider, and his tongue stretches up and licks all the way across everything as he just and goes in for the next swipe.
Roll another one.
This would be more of a swipe. So 17.
With a 17, plus the additional damage that you do, plus the additional damage that Onye does when fighting immortals, you deal and feel your blade bite into the flesh of Takne, and you hear the pleading turn to a hiss of pain as the man that you have been with all of these decades reels back from this swipe that has laid open his chest. Ugh. Brother, no! No!
And coming back to that same stance, he then takes one hand, pulls off the blindfold, and moves in.
So in this exchange, I'm going to need you to roll a speed defense as Takne pulls his katana up and for the first time readies into a position and swipes to keep you back.
No, that's not the right one. Yes, it is. 6.
As you move forward, you see the blade come down and it takes you on the same shoulder that his hand has rested for all of these years. Instead of his hand, you feel the bite of his blade as he drives it expertly through the meat where the shoulder meets the neck, piercing your trap in an effort to keep you at bay, but you're able to force free and he has to pull and retract his own weapon. It is your turn to do whatever it is you wish.
So having been hit, he switches his hands.
No!
He's just gonna keep going. He's gone. But he's offhanded. So adjust that as you will as he goes for.
I will increase the
chop.
DC.
Yep.
Yep.
Goes for another chop. 7.
Okay, as this drops down, again, you see Takne turn, and this time, with a brace of the blade against his forearm, he deflects it away, and for a moment there is a rip of sparks as the two weapons meet and drag along one another. And you see Takne turn, and just as he's ready to swipe back, perhaps taking a moment to go for your wounded shoulder in the overthrust, to go for the throat, he takes his blade and spins it and drives it into the sand in front of him.
I will not fight you, brother.
So now, off balance, having missed the shot, Onye stumbles forward and trips over his own feet, since he's just not all there anymore. He's just pure anger. And as he falls, he has, come down and tried to turn the blade back to stab backwards towards Takne, but when the process of slipping falls, his own blade hits the sand, and he comes right down on it, nails himself in the forehead, and knocks himself unconscious.
You come to, you're not sure how long it is.
Takne. Sit up and look around.
You see a distance down the beach. There is a fire set and a familiar silhouette sitting by the fire.
I would imagine he's still in the same place he fell.
Yep. He's been moved away from the surf. But Onye is a massive human being.
Which means that there is still some blood on the sand.
There is.
And marks, traces of footsteps that someone who has been taught to track would have some clue that there was a fight here. And there is blood here. And there's only one other person on the beach. And through this, he puts together what must have happened. And he can't remember it. And he looks down the beach to that oh so familiar figure. This person who has been brother, friend, father, maybe something more. And knowing that with the wrong step, something as simple as a piece of cloth across the eyes, that he could lose himself and destroy everything he loves. He takes up his sword and he runs.
There are cries from down the beach.
Brother! Brother!
But Onye is fast. And he runs a very long time. The man beside you with his perfectly slicked back dark hair and his regal bearing tall for the age, but not nearly as tall as Onye, looks over as the blood drains from the veined 20-something-year-old boy on the table in front of him. Now this... Good, yes. And the boy looks at Onye.
There is a bit of a trick to it. The first few times it can be a little bit thicker than perhaps you are accustomed to. Perhaps you should think of it like tuica. Though it is not nearly so sweet. But it does have its own potency.
But I am getting better, yes.
Very much so. There is an artistry to it. Sometimes art is about elegance. Sometimes art is about the brutality. But we each have our own way to walk. Each artist grows, shifts, changes. Their styles evolve. You are a master of brutality. Perhaps someday you will pick up a sense of elegance as well. But for now, you're doing quite well.
Perhaps I too am evolving. Do agree with this method, though. These fun.
Yes, that it is. As you continue to learn more about it, you will find a greater broadening artistry. Perhaps if there are soldiers who have offended thee, you will treat them somewhat differently than perhaps. And he glances to the side at a young manservant not too far away. Treats some others with greater compassion.
His nose seems to crinkle a bit at the word. Wherever the evolution takes me.
Do not let my predilections guide you. Artistry is about expression of the self. Your evolution is yours. Mine is mine. So, you do your art your way. Don't worry about what anyone else says. And if they decide they do not like your art, so much so that it offends you,
they shall become my next piece.
That's exactly right.
Come. And he steps to the edge of the table where the boy is oh so very pale, and he almost boxes his fingers together. I should have him framed. Just lie there. I am happy with this one. Very.
Art of this sort only lasts so long, but eventually that frame will, the art will no longer take, you will always have to create a new art.
You bring up a point that you skirt around every time that I mention it, but when you came these years ago and we've become friends, you look the same. I was but a boy, grown and believing to be man, but you You look the same as you did when first we met. How is... Time does not touch you, but it touches, and he points to the boy, my art.
We are each of us born to a different thread of fate. Some of these threads are outside the workings of the web of those who weave them. Sometimes these threads cross. Sometimes they remain completely distinct and separate from everything around them. An anchor point, almost, for a thread further in to envy. The thread which holds it up is not befitting of one so royal as you.
Have you come to teach me the secret then? Is this something that I can learn, like art?
Honestly, I do not know. There is a certain something about you that first drew me to you, initially. Otherwise, you would have been like others, of no more great import to me than anyone outside these walls. But you drew my attention in a way that no one else ever has. So, perhaps you can learn it. Perhaps you can't. I honestly don't know.
Well, I've learned from you your instructions. I've taken them to heart. Yet still, and he points to his temple, and there's just 1 or 2 gray hairs. Still I advance, and you do not. Is it something you have? Charm, perhaps, or maybe it's deeper still. Maybe it is inside. Something that can be consumed.
That is extremely unlikely. And I should warn you, Vlad, you are treading on dangerous ground.
Is this why you didn't wish to bring this up? Why you skirt the subject? You know that this is something that can be pulled from you. Something that you're not sharing.
It is not mine to share.
But it is yours.
It is not just mine. There are others like me, yes.
Well, then let us find one of them and I will take it from them.
You are very dear to me, Vlad, but you would never survive such an encounter. Not if you were trying to take what they have. It does not work that way. You would do best to appreciate exactly what you have been given and do not reach for what is beyond you, for you will fall into a chasm from which you cannot climb out.
What I have been given. This? Art? Power? Look! And he touches the gray at his hair. It is already being taken from me.
You will spill your secret, Onye. I would hear it. I would hear it now.
There is no secret. I do not know what it is that has made me this way. Whatever it is that made me like this, whoever it was who sits upon whatever lofty heavens that cursed me with this, they took from me the one thing I wanted more than anything else in my world. I had one person to whom I wanted to bestow my heart, my body, my soul, and because of a disrespecting father-in-law, you sent me out on a quest that should have been my death. Instead, I was locked away for 5,000 years or more. And when I come out, everything that I have loved, everything I ever wanted is ash, and you can take nothing from me that I will not give. And the sword comes out.
Vlad, who the arrogance in his eyes and the fact that this cannot happen, looks in shock and does not reach for his own weapon until you have a chance to act.
Onye looks upon this person whom he has known for a few years, and he sees not a possible pupil, a man who he can teach to appreciate the finer points of more advanced combat, and has seen what lessons he was trying to teach become perverted into not only senseless slaughter, but brutality beyond measure or necessity. And at the same time, within this young man's eyes, sees his own reflection and sees that in fostering this behavior, perhaps unwittingly, in this young man, he has been nursing something within himself that is normally very, very deeply buried. A monstrousness that does not belong in human form. And that part of him likes what this young man has become, sees him as a very good pupil, indeed. But the rest of Onye sees nothing but disgust, perversion, just horrific behavior, and a souring of what was meant to be something good. And he decides that this piece of art cannot be allowed to be shown to the world. This is art that must be destroyed before it influences anyone else. And so he takes his sword and shoves it right under the sternum, as far through as he can, and leaning in, caresses those trails of gray and pulls the face close to his. If only you had not made me do this, you could have been a creature of such beauty as to rival any god. Goodbye, Vlad. And he kisses him, pulls his sword, and is out the door.
And as the body of Vlad strikes, the servants who witnessed heads down. They've seen violence before, but the joy they take in this particular bit of it is fleeting. Onye, you are outside of this castle, this estate, just at the edge of where you can feel. And you feel Vlad wake up.
Oh no. And he runs.
And you run a long time. Onye, you are in the Highlands of Scotland. It is damp. There's a storm, but not the kind that is normal. It is the storm that marks the passing of one of your kind, and it rages in the distance. And as you turn and look, you are not caught unawares as your own sense, your own warning, so vastly superior to all of your kin that weren't trapped in ice for thousands of years. And you see on horseback trotting toward you a man dressed as a Londoner, and he pauses about 20 meters away. I want no trouble.
Who was that?
It was likely Connor MacLeod or his ward. She, it's likely the one that took his head. Little liar.
And yet you are not there to take hers.
Just traveling. Want no problems here today. On my way back to London.
Turns and looks back over his shoulder towards London. It's a long trip.
Yes, and it's one I should get to. Now, step aside and let me pass.
What if I do not?
Were you here for Connor MacLeod? He took the Kurgan. Kurgan took Ramirez. He had power, but now the girl has it. Is that what you're... Is that why you're here? She's... I'm sure still in the distance. You could catch her.
These names you speak, they don't mean anything to me. There is one who I would seek out again. One who I lost a very long time ago.
If I help you, will you let me pass? Do not seek conflict today.
Yes. You have my oath.
Very well. Explain who you seek, and I will hopefully direct you.
The man I seek found me long, long ago. Well, not so long. He is the one who taught me, who trained me in all of the things which we must know. He was an Egyptian by the name of Takne. And I would find him, or whoever now carries him.
I don't know Takne, but Egyptian. He's tall, he indicates off the horse. Darker gray hair. Normally some fellow. You mean Ramirez? Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez is...
No, Takne.
He's Egyptian. He was training Connor McLeod. He was afraid he was killed by the Kurgan. An obsession with that one. Did us all a favor.
Kurgan. Yes, Takne was training me to beat the Kurgan. What? His weapon, what did it look like?
It was a oriental sword, curved with a white hilt on it. A dragon, I believe. Now, are you going to let me pass? I've answered your questions.
You've
Through with
answered
this.
Some of them.
Tired of this.
Where is he?
He's dead.
And he falls to one knee. And just...
Nothing to do with it.
Go.
Very well.
Go!
He starts to move the horse and negotiate it around the trail. And at that very moment, as the wind is beginning to settle down from the unnatural storm, one of the older trees at the edge cracks, sunders, it gives way. But it does not sound like the defeat of wood. It feels like the settling of ice. And this is a GM intrusion. And I need you to make an intellect roll if you'd like to keep yourself straight. Or just a d20.
I would very much. Yes, thank you. 17.
Well, it was an 18 for this particular problem. So, as Merrill negotiates past you on his horse, the crack, Takne, Ramirez, gone, absorbed by the Kurgan, absorbed by Connor McLeod, absorbed by this girl. They're not here, but this one is.
Much like what we saw in the feature film where the Kurgan closes his eyes and they open and they are black. Much the same sort of thing happens here, and the sword comes out. There is just feral foam beginning to form at the corners of his mouth, and he swings for the horse's legs.
Roll me whatever type of might attack roll you would like.
That is going to be a chop. 15.
With a 15, this damage passes through the horse as Marrow is tossed from it. The beast, wounded mortally, rolls atop the Londoner. You hear the crack of bone beneath his flesh as he screams, desperately going for his sword, all the while yelling out, "You swore! You swore!" And he goes and pulls free his blade, and you can see that one of his arms, the off arm, if it is to be believed by his grip, is dangling from just above the elbow. And he pulls the long, thin blade and points it at you. "Very well. There can be only one." And he attacks. I need you to make a speed defense, please.
10.
Okay. As he comes forward, how do you deflect his blow as you are able to knock it aside?
Is it like an overhand swing, or how is the blade coming in?
Whatever you would like it to be. It can be a thrust, it can be a swipe, it can be a chop.
I would imagine that he's probably just kind of gotten up from being rolled by his horse. So he's probably not quite in full battle stance yet, and is kind of coming with an overhand sort of thing. And Babe Ruth-esque, what is my name? Anye, just swings across and knocks the blade to the side and is coming back around.
So with that very movement, as the blade gets knocked away, Marrow, unable to grasp at it or try to redirect his balance because of his shattered arm, it stumbles back as you take a swipe. Please attack in any way you wish.
He's gonna bash with this one, because so he knocked it away. He's coming back, but he's bringing the hilt towards his jaw to knock him backwards. 20.
A 20 is a major effect, and for Onye, it is +4 damage, +3 damage, and +6 damage. As you shatter the orbit, the skull, and the jaw of Marrow, blasting him away in a strike that would have killed several men. He drops his weapon, tries to reach out with his shattered arm as it folds awkwardly under him. The bubbles that rise to his throat and through his shattered mouth probably would have been a scream, but they're just a whisper, just the hiss of thawing ice.
And Onye will grab him by the hair and pull him up and over backwards. And they flip the blade over, because his machete is a razor's edge on one side and it is serrated on the other, so much like him in some ways. A kind cut coupled with a very brutal one. And he lays the blade across the serrated edge across Meryl's throat and brings him up and kisses him. I mean, kisses him. Blood, pouring out around the corners of his mouth. And he just, while he's kissing him and holding there, he just starts to saw with the serrated side of the blade. Not quickly.
Beneath the silent protests of the battered marrow. You feel the broken teeth, the awkwardly hinged jaw as you kiss. You feel the warmth as you take your first strike. You see the eyes, one of them independent of the other, seemingly loosened by your strike. The one that it can still focus does. You feel breath on your lips as whatever last comment Meryl had for this world is lost. And you feel his body drop away.
And he looks back toward where the storm has just faded. He stands to his full height, draws in the deepest breath he can, and screams at the top of his lungs, Tomojet Tolbod Kaijin.
And as your own storm gathers, the lightning ripping through your body, the essence of Meryl going into your own soul, you hear his last words. It wasn't supposed to be like this. But never do your eyes leave the direction in which you look, the direction of Sarah McLeod, Connor McLeod, of the Kurgan, and of Tok'nai. And that is where we will end this session of Highlander, If on a Winter's Night. I'm spent. Holy smokes. Goodness gracious. Everybody in chat, throw up them hands for my man Tren. Throw up them hands for Tren. What a performance. Holy smokes.
You.
Holy smokes.
Hand. When I say throw up those hands, I don't mean regurgitate like he does. I mean, you know, just, yeah. Ooh.
Oh my goodness. Holy smokes. That was an experience. Thank you all so much for being here. I didn't want to break the story from the beginning, but I will let you know we have people in chat right now. If you want to help out, this is your one time only, unfortunately, where you can help, not that he needs it, Onye and his quest to win the prize. You can look straight down. We had a donation earlier from Avatar, and if anybody wants to donate to help, you saw what he can do. The other immortals, they have the Mad Eagle to face, and it's going to be super fun. I thank you all for being here. I'm going to hand it over to Trent. Trent, what did you think, my friend, and where can we find you online?
Oh, I hated it. It was absolutely disgusting. It was the worst thing I've ever been involved with, honestly.
No, it was really good. I really enjoyed this. The trepidation when we were starting, and this is like about the third time now, because we had to delay episode 0.
Yep.
And then we had to delay episode 2. So this is now the third time we're trying to get to this thing. And so it's like we're doing the opening video, and I can feel my heart. And I'm like, oh my God. Because when you first approached me to do this, and I was like, I don't want to do the thing. And then you were like, you know, you're gonna kind of like be the Kurgan. I was like, there is a Kurgan in Highlander. What's the big? Like, no. You're gonna be more than that. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I could do that. And so I started looking up, like, when was he born? And I was like, you know, I had never watched the series, but I kind of drifted through parts of the wiki, and I was like, who's the oldest? Who's the oldest of the immortals? And I'm like, can I get older than him? And I'm like, how could I justify that? How could I possibly justify that? Given the age of all the other characters. And I'm like, what if he were completely sequestered for a huge chunk of that? What if he were buried in an avalanche for thousands of years? I'm like, what would that do to somebody's brain? Ooh. And so I immediately start digging through history sites. I'm like, okay, when was this? When was this? When did this happen? Mount Elbrus, if you look it up, which is in Georgia, the country, not the state, it erupted right at, year 0, between BC and AD. It erupted. So if you go through Onye's timeline, all of the things that he was involved with actually took place in history. So I was like, I need to weave this narrative through all this stuff. So it was a lot of fun. I really had a lot of fun building this thing.
I'm telling you what, when I received the backstory, that's why as soon as I already had it before session 0. When we did session, I'm like, listen, I always air quoted villain, and I've had a bunch of people online say, why do you keep, like sarcastically or, I'm saying because I'm not convinced that Onye is a villain. And I leave everybody up to their own devices to see this incredible backstory and decide whether or not, what category, maybe it's impossible to pigeonhole Onye into something, but Trent, you did a fantastic job bringing that story of weeks and months ago to life here in the last 2 hours. I thought it was fantastic. I thought you hit every point and beyond. It was a surprise to me. I just absolutely loved this character. One of my favorites, maybe all time, that I've had the incredible privilege of being able to sit back and watch develop in a 2-hour span. I am speechless. This was so much fun. Everybody, you need to follow this guy. Links in chat. Let me throw it up there again, just so you have it freshened up.
If you're trying to follow me on Twitch, I basically like this. I guest on other people's channels. I don't really stream myself. So, but I'm on Arvin Elrond's channel a lot, and he's right there in chat.
Oh, Arv, I can't stand. Oh, hey, Arv. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, dick. The best thing to do is follow me on Twitter. That's I will usually tweet out when and where I'm going to be on whose stream on which channel at what time.
Absolutely. And everybody, you heard the voice. This is a professional voice actor, everyone, and this is what you get when you want to have a bad guy and you want that bad guy to rock on. And Trent is the best of the best. Character creation all the way through to execution. Unreal. Exactly. I will tell you this. Next week, we will be seeing... Now, here's what I will also say. Thank you very much. Here's what I will also say is that Onye can appear at any time now. Onye can show up at any point in the narratives of the other immortals. So it could be 5 minutes into a show. It could be 5 minutes before the end of a show. I will tell you this, that next week we will see the return of Sarah McLeod, and we will see the beginnings of both the Celt and our Roman. So we will have Alice from Scraticus Academy joining us, and we will have Pruitt from WebDM joining us as they begin their 2-episode arc that has the 3 of them dealing with the ages in which they live. So we will see exactly what we have in the other group of immortals. And like I said, at any point, the Mad Eagle can fly in. Again, thank you all so very much for being here. I had such an amazing time. If you missed us or you're watching on YouTube, we play every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Down below in the doobly-doo, you'll find us at Tales from the Grim. I am Grimjack21502 on Twitter. You can always check there to see exactly when we'll be airing. Here on the channel, we have some fantastic and fun stuff coming up. We will be beginning next week with some one-shots with the Project Athena, Project Hyperion crews as we do some one-shots and get moving in towards our next campaign. We have, it'll begin next Sunday at 7 p.m. Tomorrow night, we have Lady Blackbird, which is GM'd by That Salty Ginger Lauren. Fantastic, fun, really wholesome show that I love quite dearly. It was a lot like this. No, it's the other end. And then on Wednesday night, we have the first of our final 3 episodes of May Black Roses Bloom for the season. And on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have the season finale of Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So please check us out for both of those. We have a lot of really super fun stuff I can't wait to announce coming up on the channel very soon. But you've seen the Mad Eagle. You will see him again. Place your bets, everybody. who wins the prize. Well, until next time, though, everyone, as the campfire dies down, there's only one thing left to say. You cannot always roll nat 20s, but you can always role play. We'll see you next time.
Do svidania.